Hello, welcome to Handmade by Julia Quinn and my weekly Facebook Live. I'm just getting myself sorted out. I switched it on before I was quite ready. So I'm here to share with you today one of the cards we did at our recent class, exploring techniques using Stampin Blends. And this card is a fun way to use your Stampin Blends with your die cuts to give them more colour. And I'm using Charming Day. All right, now let me see if I can straighten this up a little bit so that we're not quite so crooked. This card uses the Charming Day bundle, which includes this lovely stamp set with gorgeous images and a lovely happy birthday. All I'm actually going to use from the stamp set is actually the happy birthday. And then here's the coordinating dies that come with it. There's 8 pieces of the dies. Now, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 of those dies coordinate with the 3 line art images in the stamp set. But then the other 5 dies all cut out very interesting pieces, and we're going to use 4 of those for our card today. Let me pop this over here. I'm just going to put all of these onto my cardstock here. Hang on, I'll be efficient with my space so that I can use the leftover piece to stamp and fussy cut my greeting. This one's the one I want. Gives me a lot more space. There we go. And I'll pop these over onto my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and cut them out, and then the fun begins. Okay, I hope you're having a lovely day today. My day so far has been rather magical. I had some beautiful ladies for a class this morning, which I really enjoyed spending time with them, and I enjoyed teaching the class as well. So I've been a very fortunate girl to be able to do that today. Okay, so here's my die cuts. I'll just pop, I'm using pecan pie. I love pecan pie as my card base inside my card. And the front of my card is featuring some designer series paper from the Country Woods designer series paper. Lovely wood grain, lots of different wood grain textures actually. So what I might do before I do anything else is actually stamp on this to give it a little bit of extra interest for my card. So I'm going to stamp with my early espresso, my happy birthday, and just stamp repeatedly all over my card. Just give it a bit of extra interest for the background. Maybe one more up there. There we go. So there's my happy birthdays for the front of my card. Very subtle, very quiet. And then my happy birthday for inside my card. And that is all of the stamping complete for this card. Okay, so I can pop my early espresso away and stick my designer series paper for the inside of my card, just at the base of my inside panel, and I can pop that actually inside my card as well. And up we go there. Nice little border all the way around, and this is dry now, so I can stamp this on the front of my card. And what I'm going to do now, something that's a bit different for me, just move you along just a touch, and add some of my liquid glue. And I'm just going to look at my model here in a bit of a arrangement like this, which will be covered up by the floral arrangement. But this is to stick my ribbon on later on, but I'm going to let that dry, which means it will become tacky and still sticky, but I won't get wet glue everywhere. So I'll just pop that aside, and we'll take out all of these lovely die pieces here. So we've got a lovely rose here, some leaves. I like to, as much as possible, if I can, pull my leaves, especially from the top, so that I find that if I run with the direction, I have less chance of pulling off leaves. But actually these dies are getting so firm, I might have to actually give them a little bit of baking paper treatment so that I can lubricate the die a bit more. So if you find that you've got cardstock sticking in your dies, a bit of baking paper. So your baking paper that you use for cooking has one side that's a little bit smushy, so I'm just going to rub that all over my dies just to put a little bit of lubrication on that die, and hopefully next time that'll cut out a bit better. Okay, and I will probably have to do that with my other leaf die as well, I think. Okay, here's my large flowers. There we go. That one's cut out, and then my other leaves are partially cut out. And there's always something that doesn't want to quite come, isn't there? Right, let's have a look, see if we can peel this off a bit more. I love the little holes in these dies to help them come out a bit easier. They're really very helpful. And there we are, that's all done. But I think my die hasn't quite cut through all the way on this one. So I'll need to do a little bit of surgery there. Now I need this piece of paper here, oops, to stamp my happy birthday one more time for the front of my card. There's a lot of happy birthday on this card to leave you in no doubt what it's for. All right, pop that away, clean my stamp, and then we'll fussy cut this one, and then all of the elements will be prepared. Fussy cutting is a great way to give lots of added interest to your greetings. I really do like a little bit of fussy cutting on greetings. And the secret with fussy cutting is, as much as possible, move your cardstock rather than your scissors. Okay, so move the cardstock around, chop you off. And does make it easier when your cardstock is not too big as well. So move your cardstock around, keep your scissors with your thumb pointing to the ceiling, elbow to the floor. That'll give you a lot more control of your cutting. But if you don't like doing fussy cutting, you can easily do this greeting just on a rectangular bit of cardstock and it'll look just as fine. In fact, that's what somebody did in my class where we created this card. And it did look just lovely. There we go. There's my happy birthday done. Get rid of all these. Now, the next bit we're going to do is to colour these guys using our blender pens, Stampin Blends. Oh, you can go over there. I'm going to use my light Mossy Meadow. I actually feel like I should put a bit of scratch paper underneath so that I don't make too much of a mess. And I'm going to add colour all over. With your Stampin Blends, they actually colour much darker, and then once they dry, the colour is much lighter. Oops. Okay. So I'm giving it a base coat of the Mossy Meadow. You might be able to see a bit better if I push it over there. I've got a couple more bits I need to pop out of here. this one, this one, and the alcohol has softened it a little, which means it might pop out a bit better for this particular stubborn one up here. There we go. It's very much softened by the alcohol. There we go. Okay, I've got all the bits out now that I've got all of those bits out. Now I'm going to come back with my dark Mossy Meadow and following the artist lines and add a couple of extra lines on each of the leaves. So each of them have a vein in the middle. I'm just going to add a couple of lines at the base of each leaf for a bit of shadow. There we go. And I'm going to use my pen just to draw one line along one side of each of the branches there. Okay, and then with those little gum nutty things, I'm going to add pecan pie. There's the light pecan pie for each of the gum nuts. Oh, two more up here. And not that anyone would ever notice, I am going to add a little bit of dark pecan pie just to the base of each of them. And we'll set that aside to dry. If you don't like the line work at the base of each of your leaves here, just come back with the light one and add another layer just over the top, and that helps blend those colours in. It'll dry a little bit lighter. So I'll pop that over there so you can watch that drying, and then we'll do the next set of leaves here. Do exactly the same treatment, colouring all over with my very hairy tip of my blender pen, but it's working quite fine. Use my bullet tip, add some more details to each of the base of each of those leaves. And draw along one side. Come back with another layer of the white just at the base of each of those leaves. There we go. Set that one aside to dry. Now my floral bouquet, each of the leaves. Again, same treatment. Another leaf here. And another leaf here. Oops, went a bit on my flower there. I'm going to use my bullet tip now. There's a leaf here at the base of this flower. I just need a bit more precision than I was getting with that other tip. Okay, and my bullet tip of my dark Mossy Meadow. And here, here. There we go. And once again, just drawing along the edge of each of the stems. All right, and come back with my light Mossy Meadow, blend in the base of each of those flowers. Now we get to do the exciting roses, and I can see I need to pop out a couple more pieces. I wonder if I should wait till the paper's softened by the ink, the alcohol. I need to add blending paper to all of those dyes. Oh, that one's come out, that one's come out. And take it on the reverse and peel out those pieces. Where else have we got to pop out? Just you. Just this one. Being a little bit recalcitrant. Okay, you're staying. Put my scraps in the bin, and we'll colour these with the Peach Pie Stampin' Blends and Pecan Pie. Combination of Peach Pie and Pecan Pie. So I'm going to use my light Peach Pie first and add colour to all of my flowers. Just getting the alcohol down, all of those flowers. I find if I get a good layer down of the alcohol, it helps the blending to just flow a little bit easier. And this one. And there, this flower. Okay, now with my dark Peach Pie and my bullet tip, going to follow the artist's lines again, all of those die cut lines, just to give extra depth, and the centers of each of the flowers with the dark Peach Pie. Center there, dark Peach Pie, and then I'm going to use Pecan Pie for these flowers on the outsides to continue that lovely chocolatey theme. And just going to pretend that's behind that petal. And then a little bit of dark Pecan Pie for inside, the inside layer of each of those. And then to create extra depth on my flowers, because those Peach Pie flowers look quite light, I'm going to add, because the beauty of our Stampin' Blends is that you can mix all sorts of colours all together and they will blend. I'm just doing this other rose just before we do that. See how when you first put it on, the colour is quite a bit darker, and then as it dries lighter. I'm following the artist's lines again for the petals. Now I'm going to add some crumb cake. Let me put this down here. It's a bit easier to see. And again, following the artist's lines with my crumb cake, which is very light, very subtle, but it will give extra shadow and detail to my flowers that wasn't discernible with the dark Peach Pie. There we go, and a little bit on the edges of these petals as well. And then I'll add some dark Peach Pie over the top. This is dark, isn't it? Of the lines I just did. So the beauty of the Stampin' Blends is the more layers you add of colour, the darker the tone will be, even in the same tone. So you can keep adding layers. There you go. And yes, Anne, I am fast. I'm not into precision quite so much, obviously. I just like to throw the colour around there. So if I take this scrap paper off, then hopefully you can see the detail in adding just a little bit as extra lines of tone, a little bit of crumb cake as well. Okay, here's our prepared card base, and it's got its little bit of liquid glue on it that I've allowed to dry so that it can act as a basis for my ribbon. And I've got, let's do the inside of my card first. This one and this one are going inside. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue on the back of those. One. Less is more with this stuff. I've got so much less it's not coming out. There we go. And I'm going to wait for that to dry a bit, I think. And I'm going to do the same to this one. I'll let it dry a bit as well, so that it's not quite so sticky and gluey when I go to put it on. There we go. Now on this front of the card, I've got some of this beautiful open weave gold trim. It's very soft, very subtle, but I love the gold accents it gives. So I've got my slightly sticky surface, and this is why I made the sticky surface, was just to add that glue, that ribbon there, so that it can stay in place. And then when I add all of the other things, they can just stick straight over the top. So I'll put this one on, up the side, hold that for a second. In fact, squish it down with a block. I'm going to add my inside ones. So my little leaf there and my rose. There we go. Just to make the inside of the card super, super pretty. And then these guys are all going to get put on with Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think I need to use mini dimensionals for this. Plenty of them. So that it sticks over the top of that beautiful gold ribbon and stays in place. So I'm putting some dimensionals on each of the petals. I'm going to probably leave the leaves fairly loose so they can give a little bit of extra movement and texture to the whole card, except for the ones that are quite a bit bigger that can take a dimensional each. There we go. Now, take the backs off these guys. Tiny weeny. I just vacuumed the floor this morning after my class, so guess what I'll be doing, because that's the easiest way to pick them all up. And pop that over the top of our ribbon, like that. Does that look pretty? It's almost a shame to stick the happy birthday over the top, isn't it? I'll put some mini dimensionals on the happy birthday one there. One there. These are great, these mini dimensionals. So useful. There we go. And thank you everybody who's come to watch my project today. I really appreciate that. I don't always see all of the comments while I'm creating because I get a bit engrossed, but I certainly will come back and reply to all the comments as soon as I'm finished, which will be very soon. So on this card, my original card, I actually used in colour shimmer gems, the peach pie, the same as the Stampin' Blends I've used, the peach pie. But on this one, I thought I'd have a go with the flower accents to pick up more of the gold. So which is your favourite? The bright gold of the flower accents or the peach pie subtlety? There you go. So then we've got the peach pie, very, very quiet, little bit of sparkle there, all the gold flower accents. And that's my card for today, sharing a fun technique using Stampin' Blends to create colour on your die cuts. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye now.